Welcome to 100 Yards of Football. If you like the video today, please come in and share it. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. Today, we're going to go a little bit direction than what we usually do. We talk about football here on this platform, 100 Yards Football. But today, we're going to talk baseball. And when I say this, I'm very excited because everyone that's followed 100 Yards Football know how much that I love paying homage to the people before me that made a way for me. And the one thing I talk about is the 60s, the 70s, and especially Black college sports, the HBCU. And everyone knows I'm from the 901, Memphis, Tennessee, a big-time Tennessee State fan. But today I'm going to go a little baseball. And I'm so blessed and so honored that I got a legend that maybe a lot of people across the country don't know. But after today, I hope everyone that watches this video feels good about themselves and know the journey of this young man here that's on the screen, Mr. Wilbert Ellis. Let me say Coach Wilbert Ellis. Here's a guy that coached at Grambling State University baseball from 1978 to 2003. Now, 1978, I was an 18-year-old freshman at the University of Arkansas. He was the second coach in Grambling baseball history. Let that resonate in your mind. The second coach in Grambling State baseball history with 737 wins, 463 losses, and one tie. But that's what get me excited, make my body feel like chills. 3 SWAC championships, 8 division titles, 5 NCAA appearances, 7-time SWAC Coach of the Year, 1978. 1983, 1984, 1985, 1991, 1998, and 1999. Then he's the third winningest coach in the state of Louisiana from college baseball, behind his mentor, Mr. Ralph Waldo Jones, and the great Skip Berman at LSU. But when I think about college baseball coaches of the past, everyone talks about Jim Morris at Miami. They talk about Ron Polk at Mississippi State. They talk about Gene Stevenson at Wichita State and Mike Martin at Florida State. But today, Wilbert Jones is at the top of my list. Wilbert Ellis is at the top of my list. Coach Ellis, thank you for coming on 100 Yards of Football today. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, Vince. It's an honor to be on your show this morning. And I'm at Grambling State University, where I've been for a long time. And we just had a new basketball coach this morning, women basketball coach. Had a press conference, and I was here. And then I stayed here so I could have this interview this morning. I had other things to do, but with nothing more important. And being with Vince this morning live. Why? To talk about baseball in Grambling and baseball throughout the country, like baseball. And I want to make one correction. Coach Roger Cato from Southern is one of the coaches that are listed on that list of coaches. Skip Burton, Ralph Waldo Emerson Jones, Roger Cato, and then Wilbert Ellis.
Yes, sir. I apologize for that.
That's all right.
Okay, let's start back. There's so many ways I want to go with this interview, but I'm going to start with, and it was referred to me that I need to start back with your coaching experience with the Little League team from Easton out of your hometown, Ruston, Louisiana, when you coached some pre-teenagers, and they became so good that they had to play adult teams. Talk about that.
Well, I always wanted to be a coach ever since I was 9 years old, a baseball coach. I was excited because I got a chance to be around the older players. I was born in Jackson Parish and Jones, it's in Jackson Parish near Chatham, Louisiana. And I moved to Ruston, Louisiana in the early 40s. And so when I moved to Ruston, I'd been around Mark and all that group of players who played baseball in the in the cotton field and every kind of other field they could get. They'd hit rocks with broomsticks and all of that. And it was exciting to me, and I could always get them to go. And they always wanted to be around me. And they taught me how to hold a bat. They told me how to pick up a ball, and I got excited about it. Then I want to start teaching others how to hold a bat and pick up the baseball. And so when we moved to Ruston, Louisiana, I was able to do a lot of things. We had a great big yard in the backyard. And I used to get a lot of kids in the backyard. My dad and my mother loved for me to be excited about what I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. That means I had very good support from them. So kids would come out in the backyard and mom would fix little rag strings and pucker little things together, and we would hit with them until we could get little balls and things. And we continued to do it. And I was a little coach. And then I played with them, and then I also got them together. And a lot of them was much younger and younger. But we all played together, and I've developed teams. And I said, you know what? We're going to develop what we call the East, the West, the North, and the South.
Yes, sir.
And we had little teams playing each other. And we'd whoop everybody because I had guys like Jim Maryland, and Ralph Gall was a small youngster, a road runner for the Atlanta Braves, played for Lincoln High School, and then played for Grambling State University. I brought him to Grambling, and he was excited about that. I knew I wanted to be a coach. I knew I had to do some things to be so excited, but I wanted to do something for the black kids at 9 years old. Can you imagine that? And then I wanted to develop them to become good kids that would come. And my mother and father would fix something on Saturday evening after we get through playing the games and bring all the teams together. And mom would make tea cakes and different little things for us. And so then after that, I grew up. And then I was ready for high school. And then I ready to play baseball. So I played at the old Lincoln High School, which is no longer there. It was the black high school.
Yes, sir.
And Coach Jimmy Duncan was the coach. And he got excited about me. I played first base. I was an average player, but I wasn't wanting to be a player. I wanted to coach. I wanted to bring teams together and develop their minds and their talent and to be great young men. And so one day, Jim and John, he had to go to the principal's office. And there it was. The team was left. And he said, Ellis? I said, yes, sir, coach. He said, I want you to take over the team. And that was history. That was history.
Talk about the semi-pro team and some of the guys there like Mr. Roy Frazier, Coach Curtis Mayfield, the old Ruston Black Sox.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, back before then, we had what we call semi-pro teams for blacks.
Yes, sir.
You couldn't play with the white teams. We played at the same field, but they played first, and they would give us an opportunity to play. We had the Ruston Vols and Ruston Ramblers were the white team. And then we had the semi-pro team, Ruston Black Sox. That was the older team. And then Curtis Mayfield coached that team. And I had the young team, the Ruston Rockets. And we met. I had the little young guys. And, we beat those guys. A lot of those guys had played in the old leagues.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of the guys have been playing baseball for a long time. But I learned the basic fundamentals of the games, and I started learning the bunting game, the hit and run. And so we did a lot of things to beat those guys. Curtis Mayfield had been in baseball a long time. He was one of the older guys that played in the league. And we just developed and we got great things. And then we had these young guys like Jim Maryland, and all those guys played for me. The Odom brothers were great kids, you know, and we'd go down to Frazier Field, and Roy Frazier was over the field. And Willie C. Odom was one of his top guys who played for me. And that's how we got to use the field. We were big time then. We were bringing teams in from Winfield, Farmerville, Louisiana, and we were playing. But we traveled in cars. We had to go the back way because we had to be careful with the roads we traveled.
Yes,
because during that time, segregation was strong. Racism was strong. But we were able to capitalize because our parents had taught us how to handle things as we move around. But I was the coach. And I guess we won over City League and semi-pro ball, probably won over 1,000 games.
Now talk about your travels from there to Grambling State University and you coming under Ralph Waldo Emerson Jones.
Well, I was in school at Grambling. I went to school in Grambling in 1956, and I got a chance to meet Dr. Jones, Edgar G. Robinson, Fred Hobden, all of those guys. But I had a semi-pro team. Semi-pro team was good. We went all there, Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, and played baseball. And we were known. Jim Maryland and Ralph Gard, the Odom boys, and all them boys. We were in cars, 4 cars, 5 cars on top of each other. Didn't have a whole lot of equipment because we didn't have 4 bats and a dozen of baseball. So, but we made it. We whooped everybody we could find. And then later, I was at Grambling, and Ralph and President Jones told me one summer, said, to get a team together. I want your team to come up and play the college team. Well, I had to go back to the pros, semi-pro, but I was at Grambling. And we, you know, I wasn't going to whoop my boss, but we came close to doing it. And they beat us, the university beat us by 1 run. So then I started bringing guys, Earl Albritton and Ralph Gard. Lincoln High School was a great school. That's where a lot of the high school black athletes went to school, including myself. But then what we did, we won all these games, and then I brought Ralph up there and showed him. I said, Prez, I want you to see Ralph. He can play. He can run. He can hit. And then he said, he's so little. And I said, Prez, but he got a heart big as I don't know what.
Yes,
he can play baseball. So he looked at him and he sent him back and told me he was too little. So I brought my semi-pro team back again. They had a lot of good kids on that could come out from the community to Grambling to play baseball. And so what happened, I brought him back the second time, and Ralph got 3 hits.
Yes, sir.
Stole 3 bases.
Yes,
and Brent
sir.
said, is that the same little boy, Coach? I said, that's Ralph. And we brought Ralph in, and it opened the doors for others to go on. So, you know, it opened a lot of opportunities where they couldn't go to the white schools and all of that. But we made a way for them to be able to get into the university. And President Jones was the first coach at Grambling, started baseball in 1926, ended his career in 1977, which I started with him as an assistant in 1960 and went with him to 1977. And then when he retired as president of Grambling State University, as well as the head baseball and the first coach, the only president in the country was a coach.
Yes, sir.
He played in the old Negro League.
Yes, sir. Now, when you became head coach in 1978 and you was able to become the head coach, what was maybe the most expectations that you wanted for yourself as a coach and for your players when you took that job in 1978?
Let me go back a little piece on that same question that you asked. I was out recruiting. I didn't even know I was going to get the job. But
Yes,
I was
sir.
out recruiting, and I stopped in Shreveport at the fair, and a good friend of mine was over there, and he said, "Hey, Ellis, have you read the paper?" I said, "No, what paper?" He said, "Man, they just named you head coach at Grambling." I was out there recruiting for whoever come in because it was Grambling. I wanted Grambling to be great because I'd been with great men like Eddie Robinson, Ralph Waldo Emerson Jones, Fred Hobden, and Colin Nicholson, who was a sports writer in the SID. He talked about it. And then you had all these other great ball players, Willie Davis, Ernie Ladd, Buck Buchanan, all of that. We had Tommy A.G., we had Ralph Garr, and we had Matt Alexander in baseball, and all these great guys played with baseball.
And
And
also,
then when I got back to Grambling, and Eddie Robinson met with me and introduced me to our president, and he recommended me as the second head baseball coach. And I was excited. The only thing I wanted to do is go out and get some ball players, come back and teach them the basic fundamentals. But I wanted to prepare them for life, to
yes,
be
sir.
great men, great citizens, do the right thing, go to church, and be in a good environment. And when that light shine in a community, that other people and young boys would respect it and want to be like them. That was my goal. I was going to win some ball games. I knew that because I was going to work hard like I was taught by Dr. Jones, Eddie Robinson, and enforced by my parents, Mattie Ellis and Houston Ellis. And in my community, I had a great support. My church and other community people who supported me. My longtime friend, James Davison, but Jim Maryland's parents and Ralph Garr's parents and all the other parents, Miss Leanna Robinson, and I could go on down the line. They would come out there in their chairs, in their walkers, and in the wheelchairs to support me. And that's all I needed support because I was going to stay with the will of God.
Another thing I want to bring up, not only did you have a tremendous career at Grambling, but I was more impressed in what you was doing on the level with the College World Series.
Well, you know,
over the clinics, your 17 clinics. Talk about that a little bit.
You know what? I always wanted to give back. I just feel there was an opportunity to give back. My mother said give back. My dad said give back. The preacher said give back. The community, the older people were saying, be somebody, boy. Be somebody, boy. Shine your light, boy. Go places. Stay places. Do the right thing. Stay in your lane. Drive your speed limit. And do the right thing so you can be a shining light. So I said, you know, I wanted to be further than that. We went to Texas in the NCAA, and Texas beat us. Texas was the number one team in that nation. They beat us in the 13th inning, in 13 innings, 2-1. I cried like a baby. Like I said, I wanted to go back. I need to beat them. I got to be somewhere. If I can't get to the World Series, I need to find a way to get there if I don't get there with a team. So I met at the ABCA convention. I attended all the conventions. I wanted to know everybody because I'd been taught by Eddie Robinson, Fred Hobden. And then I said, you know, I want to get to Omaha. I want to be involved in these serving as regional director. I want to be a super regional director. I asked God to let me stay in baseball. And then I was able to do that. And I got to Omaha and I met Dennis Polk. And I met a lot of other people, Wayne Burroughs. And I got with those guys. And then they say, do you want to work on one of the regionals and super regions? I said, yeah, I want to be there. He said, I feel that you can carry out the responsibility. Now, regionals and super regional, you're familiar that that's a big operation.
Yes, sir.
And for God, they didn't have They had one guy who would work, but he didn't work that long. I've been with him about 30 years, 30 or more years at that. Now you're talking about the clinic. We worked on what we call the Yes Clinic that was connected with the NCAA baseball. I was able to bring in a lot of minority baseball coaches and give them an opportunity to be on the platform at the College World Series in a clinic. And it was held out at Creighton University. And yes, we had all that. We had as many as 500 kids. And, you know, and I was proud because I was the guy. And then the NCAA, we had it, and we had these big clinics and things going on. And I brought a lot of coaches in, and they would have never had the opportunity to get to the College World Series.
Yes, sir.
Because of lack of talent, lack of facilities, and a lack of all other things. And then it becomes, I don't want to say it's a race, but it becomes something that is so important.
Yes, sir. Talk about the players under you, the great players that came under you. You mentioned Ralph Godd several times, mentioned some more players that represented you in Grambling State University at the highest level.
I tell you what, Leonard Webster with Minnesota, Gary Eve with Atlanta Braves, Ralph Godd with Atlanta Braves, and I'll just name a few of them. And then we had Matt Alexander with the Oakland A's. And then we could just go on down there. One, Mike Williams with Pittsburgh, John Lewis with the Cubs. And then these guys just went on. And Gerald Williams with the Yankees, the late Gerald Williams, who's deceased. And I had a lot of other guys who signed and went into the league, but didn't get to the highest mountain. But we had so many that did. Ralph Godd. You just think about who was on second base when Hank Aaron hit the home run.
Yes, sir.
It was Ralph Godd.
Yes, sir.
It was Ralph Godd representing Grambling.
Yes, sir.
Tommy A.G. was in at New York Mets when they won the World Series.
The Miracle Mets.
The American Mets. Tommy A.G. played center field. Yeah. And I could just go on. These are the excitement. And then this helped us in recruiting because it identified other young boys, black kids, that if you work hard enough, you be excited enough and learn enough and be disciplined, you can open some doors. Jackie Robinson, 1947, knocked the hangers off the doors. It was tough, but he made it. He made it through the doors for other opportunities. But when integration hit, we left baseball and we went to football and basketball.
Yes, sir.
Everybody had a goal in their backyard because of Michael Jordan and all of that. But the longevity of the game of life and athletics is baseball. If you can last that, you can make it. That's why we're having camps now. I have a big camp in Ruston, Louisiana, right where we played at Frazier Field, the old field. I've had 300 kids, average of 300 kids.
Amen.
Jim Maryland works with me. Ralph Godd comes back. Hank Aaron Jr. comes back.
Amen.
And I'm going to ask you this question. Do you know of a great player, played with the Cubs from Louisiana, and he was a relief pitcher, set all kinds of records. His name is Lee Smith.
Oh, yes, sir.
Hall of Famer.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
he'll be at Coach Wilbert Ellis's baseball camp, July the 29th in Ruston, Louisiana. It was a morning camp. Ralph Godd would be there. Hank Aaron would be there. Gary Eve would be there. Lenny Webster would be there. John Lewis would be there. James Randall would be there. And I could go on with all my former players. And we have what we call an enrichment. And the enrichment is for parent session. to learn about different things, means and ways, how to get some things done for your children, where to go if you need help. I have the chief of police there, the district attorney there. I have a law enforcement there. We try to teach our kids about the whole structure of life outside of baseball and athletics to get them through the town so they can become great citizens, can be mayors, doctors, lawyers, and anything they want to be. Don't let nobody ever tell you that you can't do it. If you want to see an example, look at Wilbert Ellis. I'm a good example because my mother and father told me that you can do anything. You can be anything you want to be if you work hard enough. You do it the right way and keep God first.
My final question to you today, Coach Ellis, is that I was talking to you yesterday and you mentioned something that touched my heart so deeply. And what you told me, you said we have to get back to the community getting involved. Collaborate on that real quick.
Well, let me tell you, we have to get back into the community because we're losing our communities. And that's why we have the parent session, because we want to teach the parents and get the parents more involved. Most of these kids are nowadays come from single parents. There's no father in the home. So those of us in the community is going to have a goodwill program and shine a light in such a way that we're going to have to get 100 men to come and say, we want to help these kids get out of what they're in. I went to Angola, went into the Louisiana Justice Hall of Fame. And that's Angola down there. That's where the state prison is. And I got a chance to move around and see all of these things. And I said, look, I got to go back and get 100 men together, black men, to go back in the black community and get with the parents and everything and to make a difference in these kids because we are losing them by the wayside. Who's going to be our leaders for the future? Who's going to make a difference in our community? Who's going to be headways to open doors where we can go to the schools and then stop the dropout programs and all of that? We got to go back and do it. We got to set something to ourselves within. Lord, send me. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I didn't get in the American Baseball Hall of Fame. I didn't get into the Grambling University Alumni Hall of Fame. I didn't get into the SWAC Hall of Fame. I didn't get into the Grambling Legend Hall of Fame. I didn't get into the Louisiana Baseball Coaches Hall of Fame. Robert E. Russ Award, the highest award a citizen can get in Ruston, Louisiana. I didn't get the Bill Best Humanitarian Award. 43 years of coaching. 43 years coaching, trying to develop young men, not only baseball. 50-some ball players went to the major league. But I wanted the record to show that I made a difference in somebody's life. I changed a life. And they wanted to go on and have a great family and in the community and make a difference for others. That's what I'm asking today. I'm in the Boys and Girls Club. I'm on the board. I'm trying to do everything I can to do everything we can to make a difference. I'm on the Lincoln Health Foundation board talking about how we can help our blacks to have better health and facilities. And then I go to the park and recreation and say, this is the way to hold your hand. This is the way to hold your glove. This is the way to run. Give them the basic fundamentals of baseball. You can translate that into the basic fundamentals of life.
Coach Ellis, it's been an honor, been a pleasure. I've been doing this a while on 100 Yards of Football, and I can tell you this is one of my most blessed days of having you on our platform today. If you can leave us with one final word that we can take here on 100 Yards of Football, what would you leave us with, your final word, sir?
Can I take just a few minutes to do something?
Yes, sir.
To become independent, self-sufficient, hard work, and moral adult. I believe that you should give back to the community and learn well the lesson taught by your father and mother, that you should do something that will make a difference and do excellent and put God first. We bring hope and opportunity to those who remind us of ourselves. Young people who are willing to put forth the form to learn, to contribute to society, to make a positive difference, who benefit from such investment. We all do. A life is not important except in have the impact as it have on others. Success is important, but most of important is to be a man that stand for something in your community. And when your voice is heard where both races, black, white, Jew, Gentiles, or whoever, will say, we need to stop, look, and listen, because the impact of that man have demonstrated what is necessary for our black race to become the race of all time.
I like to say today, here on 100 Yards of Football, we've had a lot of guests that came on this platform. Great guests. But I can tell you this, after these past 30 minutes, I think I have to put Coach Wilbert Ellis at the top of the list.
Well, thank you. And we just want to thank you for what you are doing too.
Yes, sir.
And the way you're doing it and how you're trying to spread the word out into the community and wake up the community. I've written a novel about the shook up generation. We're a little shaken. We got to unshake and get back online so we can demonstrate and let the world know that what Dr. Martin Luther King said when he went to the mountaintop and he looked over, he must have saw Obama. But I won't stop there. He saw Wilbert Ellis too.
Yes, sir.
And so we got to have some people that are willing to do that. Send your kids to school. Take your kids to school. Sit down and teach. Talk with the parents. Find out what's going on in the classroom, what's going on the school board, what's going on in the community, and take your children to church. Don't send them, take them, and make them whole.
Well, Coach Ellis, I just appreciate them kind words, but I'd be not right if I didn't say this. You gave me a great compliment just a few seconds ago about the platform, but the platform that we have, it's not about Vincent Turner. It's about several people that's been behind Vincent Turner over the last 3 years, starting with my producer, Mr. Jeremiah Long. Coach Ellis, I wouldn't be nowhere with that young man. Another young man, Mr. Logan Landers, my man from Brooklyn, New York, who I love like a brother, Mr. Ronnie Keebler. And of course, an NFL guy who's a first-round draft pick in the 1981 NFL draft out of Florida State University by way of Atlanta Falcons, Bobby Butler. And of course, the wisdom and words of a great guy out of Lufkin, Texas, Mark Denham. And then, of course, as you just said, Mr. Ellis, I'm going to say this. What you just said is just what my life has been about. I've had some tough journeys, but I look at you as like two people right now out of my hometown, the 901, my mother and father who still live in Chester and Inez Turner, by way of the great state of Mississippi. And Mr. Ellis, I put you right there in that category because my mother and father, my father's 86, my mother's 84. And I'm so blessed. And I'm so blessed with your wisdom. And then one other thing I want to say today before I leave, and kudos to a gentleman that came in my life 3 weeks ago. And I talk to this young man every day. And he's been a tremendous angel to me. And that's your former player, Mr. Jim Maryland, father of Russell Maryland. So what I'm saying, with all this that's happening to me today, it's not about Vincent Turner. I'm coming across some great people, and I'm with some great people. So my final words today here on 100 Yards Football. A very emotional, outstanding interview by a great man that's on that screen. And all I can say is, I usually end it with a music reference, but today I'm going to say this about Coach Ellis. Coach Ellis, a leader of man. The man you see on the screen, a man worth following. A man that's walked the walk. A man that's talked the talk. And think about this. This is a man at Grambling State University that's put 48 players in the major leagues. And I could not be more blessed and more honored. And when I think about Coach Ellis today, and I hope he take this with him, that was a great man by the name of Moses. He was a great man. He appeared in 31 and 66 books in the Bible. That's what I'm looking at today. Coach Wilbert Ellis is the Moses of our time, representing Grambling State University. So, Coach Ellis, we love you. We appreciate you here being on 100 Yards Football. And we also like to have you back down in the future. It's the baseball season. It's not going to stop if you love to come back. But thank you today here on 100 Yards of Football, sir. And you be blessed. And keep doing the outstanding things you're doing in that community of Ruston, Louisiana, that you've been doing all your life. I admire you. I respect you. And most of all, what I'm going to take for this interview today, I feel good as a man. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vince, and your in-class staff. And God be with you, and God bless you, and have all the success.
If you like the video today, please come in and share it. We surely appreciate here 100 Yards Football. To my team, the gentleman that's making it happen today, Mr. Jeremiah Long, thank you. To Mr. Logan Landis, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. God bless you.
To Coach Ellis, thank you. To Mr. Ronnie Keebler, thank you. To Mr. Bobby Butler, thank you. And to Mr. Mark Denham, a.k.a. Mark Bass, thank you. Y'all have a blessed day here on 100 Yards of Football.